What's going on, guys? Ribombee teacher in the house, and I am here with a new series for the channel called Ask Ribombee, where you ask me questions, I answer them. If you want to know where these questions come from, some of these questions, because it's the first one, are going to be common questions I get asked either on my stream or on my friends' streams and various other things. But yeah, if you've got a question for me that you want me to answer in a future episode, down below is a link to my Discord server. In my Discord server, there is a specific channel called Ask Me Questions. If you've got a question for me, whether it might be in light of this video or just in general, feel free to ask away. I do look at them all. I do vet them all, and so does my mod. So I will answer sensible questions. Is looking at you, ND Vikings. If you want to know where babies come from, my friend, ask your parents or guardians or any older relatives. They might be able to help you with that one, but that's not a question for me to answer. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So the first question, the most common question I ever get asked is, am I a real teacher? Yes, I am. I've been fully qualified since 2014, but I started teaching and training in 2010. I quit in 2018, but I'm still fully qualified. I could go back into teaching if I wanted to, but teaching's such a garbage profession right now that I decided to quit. I'm now a security officer these days, for those who are wondering. But yeah, largely speaking, yes, I am a teacher. Am I practicing? No. Next question is, where am I from? I get this a lot. Where am I from? Because my accent's kind of hard to place. But no, I'm from the UK. I'm British. Not necessarily proud to be British at the moment with the current political situation, but that's for a different time. Yeah, but yeah, I'm from the UK, for those who are wondering where my accent is from. Not from Australia, where some people seem to think I'm from. Don't quite know why, but yeah. Alright, next question, why the name Ribombee Teacher? This one comes up a little bit, more on other streams than of course on mine. But it does occasionally come up. It's like, why do I have Ribombee as my mascot and various things? Obviously, the teacher part of my name's a little bit obvious, given the fact I'm a fully qualified teacher. But Ribombee became synonymous with me thanks to the Phoenix Rising community. I played it a lot in its early infancy, in its stages there, and various places I did. And when it first got released, there's about 3 hours of gameplay in the game. And everyone was sort of sending screenshots of their teams, and there was a lot of these different Pokemon on it, but in all of them, the only person that had Ribombee on it was me, and everybody flamed me for it. Everyone called me a pleb and all sorts of other things that I can't repeat in this video, but and in the end, I just challenged this one guy that was consistently hating on me, and I swept him with Ribombee. And then some of the moderators in there started calling me Ribombee Teacher, and it kind of stuck. And that's basically where my name came from. It's as simple as that, really. Ribombee being a kind of mascot Pokemon. The lesser exciting part of that is actually a week after that happened. Funny enough, Ribombee ended up being my first ever shiny in Sun and Moon. So, it was pretty funny. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting time for me. But yeah, that's where the name Ribombee Teacher comes from. Next question, what names do some people call you accidentally? Again, this is another one from more of my friend streams. I've had a lot of rather funny ones. I've had a lot of questions like, a lot of names like Ribombee. My friend Megapollen keeps calling me that, which I don't mind. Arcade Link keeps calling me Ribombee. Various things like that. I had a Canadian streamer call me Ribombee before. But the most funny one I had was a friend of mine. Well, not really a friend of mine, but a streamer that a friend of mine hosted. I popped in there for a while, and she was doing, like, I think it was like a drunk shiny hunting stream that she was doing. It was pretty entertaining for a while. She was saying a lot of random nonsense that didn't make any sense. So I thought, alright, I'll drop her a follow just to see what happens. So I dropped her a follow, and she goes, thanks for following me, Ribombee Teacher. To which, of course, everybody blew up and died laughing. I didn't stay on that stream after a while. It wasn't really all that entertaining when she wasn't drunk. But yeah, it was definitely kind of funny. But that one definitely sticks out. I'm probably going to get hard memed on now I've said that, and everyone's going to keep calling me that. But that's whatever. It's fine. It's funny, so you know. This one I like. Besides Pokemon, what games do you play? Really, not much anymore. I used to play a lot of different games. I used to play a lot of different games on Steam. I used to work for the guys that made Town of Salem. but after a lot of toxicity in that environment and poor moderation, I decided to leave that game. Other than that, generally most of the things I play are Pokemon. I do play League of Legends as well, off stream, and stuff like that. Just play that socially with a few friends that I do have pretty much only play League. So yeah, pretty much Pokemon, League of Legends, that's mostly my gaming foundation now. I don't really play anything else. I don't really enjoy anything else. I've played Smash occasionally, but I'm not very good at it, and I don't really enjoy playing it all that much. So yeah. Question 6, the last kind of common one I get. Who are your favourite streamers and YouTubers? Now, I mentioned some of them already. When I'm not streaming, I tend to look for people like Arcade Link, Megapollen, Andy Vikings, Exclusives, who's helped me out quite a lot. A lot of you guys know me from Exclusives, which is awesome. Access Stomp TV, those guys are all streamers that I actively go out of my way to try and watch. And there's other people like Nihachu, who's just gone on a break, but I watch her quite a lot. I'm a mod for her. I watch people like It's Amarantha, who I've known for a long time. People like Rainbow, I've known for a long time. I'm actually planning on going to her wedding next year. YouTuber-wise, mostly A-Drive, M&J TV, mostly PokeTubers, really. Pokemon, PokeAimMD, Lord Envy, Duncan Can't Die, these kind of guys. That tends to be most of what I watch. I do like sometimes to watch beatboxers like a Zealous. I watch a lot of his. I actually, just before recording this, I was watching his most recent beatboxing episode. That's super cool. Definitely recommend checking them out if you ever get the time. But yeah, those are all of them that I really watch. Those are my main guys. If I remember, I will probably link them all down below. If I've missed one, I do apologize, but I will try to include them all as and when I can. Yeah, those are my main things. It's mostly PokeTubers, really, and occasionally League of Legends streamers, but that's basically all I really watch. Alright, question 7. What is your gaming history? Now, I adapted this question slightly. This was the first question from my Discord server. I adapted this question because it also asked me about my IRL history. My IRL history is quite sensitive and something that YouTube doesn't really like being put on its platform. So there are kind of a lot of iffy things for me to talk about. So at the honest point, it's probably not appropriate I talk about it. That is something I'm willing to talk privately about if people are interested and stuff like that. But yeah. As far as it goes for me, I'll only talk about the gaming side. So my first actual gaming experience came from a Sega Mega Drive that my family had when I was about 3 years old. It was a game called Wiz and Liz. Some people may have heard of it. It's a very obscure little game. It's a little platformer game where you have 2 wizard characters, and your goal is to collect a bunch of rabbits in multiple different worlds that all have different letters that make up words. And then there's like fruit in the game. You collect the fruit as well. And you mix the fruits up in a cauldron, gives you all sorts of different buffs. And then every so often you had some mini bosses, and then you had a big final boss at the end, which was a dragon, which at the time was allegedly impossible to beat. It was a really, really long game, took quite a lot of time to play, but I remember this game specifically because my family were all sat round this Mega Drive trying to beat this dragon, and then little 3-year-old me was just sat at the front while everyone else was sat on chairs and everything, and I was just watching the screen, watching what was going on. My sister tried, she couldn't beat it. Both my parents tried, but she couldn't beat it. And then all of a sudden, my sister thrusted the control in my lap. She was pretty angry at the time because she couldn't beat it at all. And so I basically tried it, threw it in, and had it go, and I beat this dragon first time. Now, to this day, my sister's still mad at me for it. My parents never really liked me anyway, but that's a different story altogether. But yeah, that was kind of my first experience of gaming, where I beat this allegedly impossible dragon at like 3 years old. Fast forward a year later, my grandparents bought me a Game Boy and a copy of Pokemon Green, which was where my Pokemon gaming started, which is actually, I believe, one of the I think might be the next question. But yeah, like, through that then, I mostly played Pokemon games, I played Sonic games, but fast forward to about 13 years old, was when I got my first PlayStation 2, On those games, I largely played a lot of FIFA, I largely played a lot of Need for Speed. Those were my kind of games. I didn't really play a lot of other games at the time besides Pokemon on the Game Boy. Played Yu-Gi-Oh! On the Game Boy a little bit. Played a bit of card games, mostly Yu-Gi-Oh! I played UK Pro League and Yu-Gi-Oh! For a little while. Also played the trading card game for a little bit for Pokemon, but never really got into it. But yeah, largely that's where my gaming history goes. I started playing League of Legends in, I think, 2014, 13 or 14, somewhere around there. Basically back end of Season 4. Played at Season 4 Worlds. I was watching the World Championships with Starhorn Royal Club, which was Uzi at the time, and Samsung White won that year, of course. But yeah, I started watching that and I started playing League. Completely awful at it and wasn't very good at it. Some people would argue I'm not much better at it now. But yeah, that was pretty much my gaming history. Throughout the whole time, I've always played Pokemon, played every Pokemon game, completed the decks in every Pokemon game. I'm actually very nearly doing it for Pokemon Sword and Shield as well. I'm literally 4 Pokemon off, but I'm waiting on a couple of friends of mine to be available to actually give me that. So yeah, that's basically the situation there. Yeah, so that's pretty much my gaming history. Inside that, I've played chess before. I've played other things like my Civilization games. I've played quite a lot. Played golf with your friends a fair bit. Played Eternal a bit, which is a card game. Played a little bit of Dota 2 and here and there, but yeah, that's most of the games that I've played up until now. Next question, when did you get into Pokemon? I kind of answered that in the last question, but yeah, I was 4 years old at the time. My grandparents bought me a copy of Pokemon Green from Japan. Both my grandfathers were military, so it wasn't too surprising that they traveled. They bought that back for me for Japan. Started playing that a lot, played a lot more obviously as I grew older, various things like that, and continued to carry on playing. But yeah, they all started then. At the time the sprites were really goofy. If anyone's ever played Pokemon Green on an emulator or anything like that, they'll know how goofy all the sprites were, how ugly it all was. But I was interested, I was fascinated, I started playing on quite a lot. It was a lot of fun, I really enjoyed it, so yeah. That's generally the large situation that we were at. Alright. Coming in number 9, how are you introduced to competitive? So, back when I started competitive, about 16 years ago, Showdown didn't exist. Showdown only really came around in 2011, but before then it was like a lot of local tournaments, things like that. A lot of friends of mine had older brothers or parents or uncles or whatever that all played Pokemon. And that was basically where it came from. Like, some of my friends would be like, hey, my brother's gonna go play this tournament on the weekend, do you want to come? So we played. I played a few, didn't do very well the first time because I didn't really understand what was going on, because at the time my reading was still not that great. For those who don't know, I'm dyslexic, struggle with reading quite a lot, struggle with writing quite a lot. So you might notice a few spelling mistakes here and there. Hopefully I've ironed them out before, but yeah, there might be the odd one here and there. But yeah, like, that's how it really started for me. And then of course Showdown opened up in 2011, bought out by Smogon in 2012 basically, and then I grinded there quite a lot. I actually hit as high as rank 7 on Gen 4 OU. Very, very high up. I was known for my Rain team back then, and various other teams that I had built, and various other situations like that. But I've played competitive in every gen. The only thing I haven't played a lot of is VGC. I kind of dipped into it here and there, but I didn't really like a lot of the VGC metas for so long. I actually like this current meta. I think the meta is actually really interesting. I'll talk about that in a bit. Next question. Was it difficult for you when you first started competitive? Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people think competitive Pokemon is just throwing a bunch of Pokemon in and having a battle. It's not as simple as that. There's all sorts of things like EV training to give you the correct stats. There's IVs, there's breeding, there's so many different facets to competitive that you need to understand. You need to know your type charts, you need to know You need to know what works well with other Pokemon. There's a lot of things to learn. And when you first start, particularly as like back then, Showdown wasn't around. There wasn't really guides, particularly for competitive at the time. You know, you didn't really have huge access to internet. YouTube videos and YouTube guides and stuff like that weren't around. The most sort of resource you really had was like Ribombee, and that only lists the moves. It doesn't tell you what moves are good, what moves are bad, or anything like that. So you didn't really know much in the early days of competitive. And because of that, of course, a lot of people use the same Pokemon because they might look cool or whatever. But yeah, when I first started, there was a lot of hidden values that you could not necessarily control, but it was harder to manipulate unless you basically hacked. And at the time, I had no idea how to hack or anything like that. I've never hacked before, or whatever. So yeah, it was definitely a difficult situation for me in that regard. But when I first started, it was pretty darn hard. I didn't know a lot, so I just went in with teams that I used in playthroughs, got bodied quite a few times. It's a big learning experience, but I think now if you ever want to go into competitive, now's the best time to do it. I think now there's so many resources available to you. Wolfglitch just opened up a Discord server called Pokemon Academy. I've just joined it. That's a phenomenal resource right there. There's a lot of great battlers in there, a lot of very good competitors that offer a lot of experience. You can generally learn a lot just by looking at some of the things in there. So definitely get yourself going. And if you want to learn competitive, join a singles draft league if you want to. Draft league is really cool. I'm obviously in the GPL, which I will post an update on that very soon, because my quarterfinals match did go ahead. But yeah, I'll talk about that in another video. Alright, question 11. How do you see Gen 8's meta shaping up? So, there's a lot of facets to this. I think you're largely going to be dependent on the format. There are lots of different areas that you could try. There's Battle Spot in game. There's the rank ladder, of course, in game. You've got Smogon for singles and all the different tiers there when they eventually get posted. And then, of course, you got VGC. In terms of Battle Spot singles, I think it's going to be very explosive. There's so many different Pokemon that they've brought out and introduced into this game that are competitively viable, because I felt like Gen 8 is like the competitive introduction, if you like. Because a lot of people know that Pokemon's been around for 23 years, and despite that time, its competitive scene is quite frankly garbage, right? It doesn't get a lot of viewership. It gets like 4,500 viewers at any one point on a Twitch stream. Compare that to 100 million in the League of Legends World Championship Series finals. It doesn't even compare, right? And that's embarrassing for something that's a massive franchise like Pokemon. So, in terms of the actual meta, I think there are definitely some Pokemon that have really jumped up in priority and things that are really strong. We're looking at Excadrill getting buffed thanks to Rapid Spin actually being a useful move. I think Sand is generally a very good strategy, especially in VGC. Excadrill Tyranitar kind of takes a good lead stance. Trick Room is very viable. I've seen a lot of Indeedee Hatterens going around. I've seen a lot of Indeedee in general, actually. I like Dracovish in singles. Dracovish actually offers quite a lot. And as well in doubles, I think Whimsicott's also seeing a lot of usage as a Tailwind setter or something like beat up at plus justified user like Lucario. There's a lot of really cool little strategies that are going around, especially for VGC. Singles wise, I think the meta's gonna suck. And I'll talk a bit about that in the last question, because the last question concerns something that actually was announced yesterday. I am actually going to break the fourth wall a little bit here. I am actually recording this, or re-recording this, the day after, because my original answer for the last question has changed slightly. Excuse me, but yeah. I think the meta's very explosive. I think there's a lot of diversity that's going on. I think you can definitely do a lot more in this meta than you could in previous gens. I think for Draft League singles, it's going to be really interesting. It depends on what happens with the last question. So, last question. Dynamax, yay or nay? Now, this is a very hot topic at the moment. The reason why is because yesterday, Smogon made an announcement that they are banning Dynamax in the Smogon Showdown OU ladder, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I think is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Not gonna lie, I think it's stupid. And I'll explain this why. Dynamax, the actual mechanic itself, yes, you get 1.5 times or double HP, whatever, depending on the situation. But Dynamax compared to Z-moves and Megas that were super centralizing in previous generations is actually not that powerful. Yes, it's 3 turns, yes, you get buffed moves for 3 turns, but the actual base powers of the moves themselves are nowhere near comparable to the power that Z-moves had. You know, looking at an example here just off the top of my head, ICMZ Free Shock for Kieran Black had 300 base power, whereas a lot of these max moves are maxed out at 150 base power, which is no more powerful, which is not that much more powerful than things like Fire Blast, things like Hydro Pump, things like Pyro Ball that Cinderace got. They're not that much more powerful. Yes, they are slightly more powerful, and yes, you get the additional stat boost, or you get a Weather, or in the case of like Gigantamax Dreadnought, you get Stealth Rocks on the other side of the field. There's a lot of things that I think it's just interesting to me. I think Dynamax is not that broken, but again, Smogon banning it is interesting to me. But then again, Smogon, in my opinion, and one of the reasons I stopped playing Showdown regularly, was because Smogon banned things that they don't know how to play against, rather than ban things that are actually considered broken. I don't think Dynamax is that broken. I don't think it's that strong. I think it's powerful, yes, but I don't think it's broken. There are some Pokemon that really need Dynamax to be successful. I'm looking at Barraskewda being a good example here. Barraskewda on its own without Dynamax, it lacks the bulk to take a hit. Like, it can't take a hit. I used one in my Shield playthrough recently, and it just kept getting one-shot. It just kept dying. However, with Dynamax being able to buff its bulk, or being able to be faster, or being able to hit harder, because it does have quite a lot of different coverage moves that it can get, I think it's actually potentially very good. But it needs the Dynamax to be useful. I think banning Dynamax just takes away the viability of certain Pokemon. Like Ditto jumped in usage, for example, because it could actually abuse the buffs that the opponents might try and bring out, and actually counter-sweep them with a Choice Scarf, you know? So, I think Dynamax is not that bad. I think it's a yay for me, personally. Smogon thinks otherwise, it's on the nay camp, but then again, we all know what Smogon are like. But, yeah. I think Dynamax is fine. I want to see it in draft leagues. If I don't see it in a draft league, it might persuade me not to play. But yeah, I'm okay with Dynamax. I think it's fine, unless someone can actually give me compelling evidence to prove that Dynamax is broken. I'm still going to be on the yay camp. Sorry, Smogon players, but I think you're wrong. Simple as that. So, those are all the questions I've got for today. There was nice around 12 of them. If you've got more questions for me, as I said at the start of the video, join my Discord down below. Ask me questions in the Ask Me Questions channel. I would love to do more of these. Probably try and make this a monthly thing, because at that time, hopefully more people have got questions for me. But yeah, that's going to be all from me, and I'm going to get on out of here. So thanks for watching. My name is Ribombee Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bournemouth Ribombees. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.